Good morning and happy Monday. Welcome back to another week of nonprofit content from none other than your own Asiya Nasir. I am the founder and nonprofit strategist for my consulting firm, Utopian Enterprise Business Solutions, and I am an author of my newly released book, Nonprofit Doesn't Mean No Profit, where you can find on Amazon today. I know it's been a minute. It's been about 2 weeks since I was on here. Not by choice. I actually had not one, but three extractions from my wisdom teeth. And so, yeah, I was a little out of commission, so I wasn't able to come and bring my weekly content, but I'm back, thankfully. Almost, I would say about 95% back. And so I did not want to delay in getting information to my followers and those that, are looking to get nonprofit content to be able to, build on their nonprofit and to, do what basically my consulting firm helps aspiring nonprofits and existing nonprofits, which is to fulfill their missions in real time. So did not want to delay in that, being that we are going into half of the year is gone. Half of the year is gone, and we really need to make sure that we're staying on target and doing all the things that's necessary in order for our organizations to thrive and to be successful. So without further ado, I'm here again for another weekly content on a topic that I think is extremely important. It just gives another avenue for nonprofits to be able to stay sustainable, to be able to be more efficient and effective in their ability to be able to provide the services and the programs that they want in the communities that they're serving. And that is building strategic partnerships, not just with other nonprofit organizations or, local corporate companies, but strategic partnerships with government agencies. Because what it does is it maximizes the nonprofit's resources. So this week, we're going to be talking about how to strategically partner with government agencies and why this should be something that every nonprofit should have as a goal, as it relates to expanding, as it relates to keeping your organization afloat, making sure that your organization has the pulse of what's happening. These are all different reasons why a nonprofit would want to ensure that they are strategically partnering with government agencies. So as I always do, I give various strategies, and typically it's 5, but today I'm only going to give 4. Because I'm going to give you some ideas of where you can go. And that'll be number 5, typically, of where you can find these government agencies. And then we're going to just tap into, towards the end, what are the benefits of being able to do this? Sometimes when you think government, you're thinking the White House. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. And sometimes we get intimidated, especially if you're a grassroots nonprofit. You feel very intimidated as it relates to when you hear the word government and partnering with your, nonprofit organization. So we're going to be talking about the benefits. And a lot of times, if you understand the why, if you understand the importance, if you understand the impact, you're not going to be as intimidated, because the alternative is your nonprofit organization not being able to fulfill its mission in real time or the sustainability of your organization. So without further ado, let's get right into the strategies, in order for your organization to be able to partner with these government agencies. So strategy number 1 is, the first thing is, your nonprofit organization, while it's looking for grants and foundation money, corporate funding, all of those things are great. One of the things that are left out a lot of times is identifying a government agency that shares or has a mutual alignment with your organization or objectives. Like if your organization is for domestic violence and championing that, or if it's for at-risk youth, whatever the mission is of your organization, finding and actively, not just winging it, looking here and there, but actively searching it, making it a point of part of your research and finding grants and corporate businesses that align with your mission as a nonprofit. Do the same thing as it relates to government agencies. So that's gonna be my strategy number 5, is how do you research? Where do you go to research? How do you find out about these government agencies? Because it's extremely important for you to be able to know exactly where to go, so you're not wasting your time, so you're not taking time that you really don't have and looking for something and then feeling frustrated because you can't find it, right? So you know what, I'm not even going to wait to strategy number 5. Strategy number 2 is where do you find these government agencies? Well, one is a very popular website called grants.gov. Grants.gov. That's a great resource to be able to find specifically only government agencies. And then they tell you what these different government agencies support, what missions, what alignments, what objectives. They specifically lay out who it is that they support, what cause that they support. So it really helps you to see, do they support the mission of my organization? And then they have contact information as to who to contact, emails, the websites, where to go, so that way you can get more information. And this is going to be extremely important for you to be able to reach out to someone, especially if this is your first time applying for this particular government agency, finding out what it is that they support, or just asking those Q&A questions that sometimes when you read on the website, it may be a little ambiguous for you. This allows you to be able to ask those questions, to then move forward and be able to fill out the application accurately. Sometimes you can actually contact like your local city officials, like your city councilman or council, or your county admin. These are different local government agencies that you can find for your organization. And the local government agencies are extremely important to you, because you're right there. They have a pulse of what's going on in the community. They know where there's areas of deficiency, and where they need to advocate more, and to be able to put more focus into. Here comes now your nonprofit saying, hey, I want to see how your city council can assist us in funding. County administration, how can you do that? Networking specifically at government agency conferences and different networking events. It's really good that you rub shoulders with those, because they can give you the put your foot in the door, so to speak, to be able to say, hey, this is a nonprofit we want to potentially support for. Very important, because, and I'll explain why this is important, not just to your nonprofit organization, clearly, because you'll be receiving funding, but this is important also to the government agencies, because it allows you to partner with them as it relates to advocacy. Now, I know in nonprofit, one of the questions that the IRS asks in the 501c3 application is, are you actively going to be looking to change legislature, right? That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is advocating for your local community, city council, county, you having those type of conversations and those discussions, and being in the room where they're having policy discussions of how we're going to change this and what we're going to change. Why would it be important for you, as the executive director or the founder of a nonprofit, who shares or has a mutual interest in seeing something decrease or eradicated altogether? You being in the room, you being able to share your experience, your expertise, your knowledge of what's happening in the community, now you become an ally to that government agency that's looking to also do the same thing. Because when you have those conversations, those policy discussions, which is strategy number 2, engaging in advocacy policy and those discussions, it demonstrates your expertise on the topic. And then what it does is, all of the government agencies that are there, all of the spokespersons, all of the key individuals that are, having a discussion about the mission of your organization, now you become the go-to person. Now you shed a light on your nonprofit, whereas before they didn't even know who you were. So now here, even on a local level, they're able to assist you in being able to get funding, because they're like, hey, they're here, he or she is here, they're expressing concern, they're expressing what their organization is attempting to do and have been attempting to do for the longest, why these changes need to be made, because this is what is going to help your nonprofit to actually be impactful. With the government agencies having you in the room, upcoming funding, guess who gets a first notification that, hey, we have this funding coming up, and we want you to sit, because now you're building alliances at those policy meetings. They know who you are, and they can give you access to larger government agencies because they're aware, they're in the know. So this not only allows you to be able to get government funding from a local perspective, but you get, this is where you can find, going back to strategy number one, it assists you in finding and identifying larger government agencies that share the same mission, share the same objective as it relates to what it is that what cause you're championing. So strategy number one is, identifying. And as I mentioned before, they have grants.gov, but then also going to like your local government agency, your city council, your county administration. Those are all government agencies that can assist you, right? That's a great way to be able to identify government agencies. And strategy number two is then engaging in their upcoming networking events, their policy discussions. So you become a familiar face. Your organization becomes a familiar name. Your mission of your organization becomes a familiar concept to these local government agencies that now can also give you access to the larger government agencies as well, that provide funding for your shared mission, your shared objective, right? So that's strategy number two. Strategy number three is, when you are going to approach government agencies, whether local or larger, one of the things that you have to do, it doesn't matter if you're a large nonprofit or a small nonprofit, you have to have your ducks in a row. You can't just say, I have a great mission here. All nonprofits have a great mission. I mean, think about it. It's either, food insecurity, taking care of children at risk, helping the elderly, empowering the youth. Everyone has a wonderful mission. It's how impactful your mission is to the community. So what I mean by that, in making the connection, strategy number three is making sure that you are demonstrating the impact and results of your nonprofit. You have to have your ducks in a row. You have to be able to discuss, whether on a local level with a city council or a county administration, at those policy meetings when they're starting to ask you questions now, or they're giving you access to funding applications. You have to have your ducks in a row, meaning your organization has to demonstrate the impact and the results of your nonprofit organization. That means, and I've done a video before on how, the importance of data, saving data as it relates to the success, measuring the success of your nonprofit organization. So it's not just how many people have attended our programs, how many people have we handed out food to, and things like that. That's great. That's data that you definitely need to have. But more importantly is, what is the impact? What has been the result of your nonprofit? What change, what transformation has occurred with your nonprofit? That's what government agencies want to hear. They know, and they're approached by many nonprofit organizations for funding opportunities. However, it's the ones that can demonstrate that even if it's on a small level, you're a grassroots nonprofit, but your grassroots nonprofit has been impactful. So if you've helped 50 to 100 people, what has been the transformation? What has been the impact? What has been the result? Government agencies are focused on outcome. Measurable outcome, measurable impact. That's what government agencies want to hear. So you being able to demonstrate when you're at those policy discussions, as we mentioned for strategy number two, and you're talking about your expertise on the topic, your expertise as to what is the issue and the problem in the community. Here it is now. You have shown and demonstrated what you can say. My nonprofit has been able to assist this many people. However, we have a bigger problem. We have more people that we need to reach, and nonprofits like mine require additional funding so we can expand our programs and our services, because we have already demonstrated on this level that we are a solution to this problem. And here is the data. Here are the measurable results. Here is the impact that we've made on the community. That's what government agencies want to reach. So if you see that, right now we're doing a lot of work, we're busy, and, we're out there every week, we're doing this, now start reining it in. How many people are we helping? What is the impact to the different individuals that we're helping? What has changed in their life? What has transformed in the recipients of our services? What has changed in their lives? What has changed on a community level? What has changed? So if you're there for job readiness, how many of those individuals at your organization have now attained employment and retained employment? Has it changed their financial status? Are they no longer on government assistance because of the change? Are the children that you're, advocating for, are they doing better in school, because of the programs that they're participating in through your organization? What are the measurable outcomes? So that's strategy number 3. If you're not there, that should then be the focus before you approach any government agency, is start getting your ducks in a row and making sure that, you can articulate and demonstrate and show that your nonprofit organization has had an impact on the community and the recipients that have participated in your services. What has been the transformation, and being able to demonstrate and show evidence of that, because that's what government agencies, that's what they care about. They know all nonprofits have a great mission. They want to have discussions and want to advocate and support financially the nonprofits that can demonstrate measurable impact and results. If you don't get nothing else by anything that I say today, take that away, is that before you step to any city council or county administration, that's the first thing they're going to ask you. And I've discussed this many times in several of my videos. This is something that every nonprofit should be doing. No matter how small your nonprofit is, you should be measuring the outcomes of your programs and the services that you're providing. So that's strategy number 3. Strategy number 4 is building relationships. Building relationships. This is relationship building. This is networking. This is, building relationships with key stakeholders. So when you go to those council, those city council meetings, when you go to those county administrations, when you go to those networking events and you're rubbing shoulders and things like that, who are the key decision makers? Who are the key decision makers? Those are the people that you want to start building a relationship with. And I'm not just talking about a professional relationship. I'm talking about getting to know them. What made them want to get into what it is that they do there? Why are they passionate about the cause that you're championing? Why is that important to them? Sometimes you'll find out that it's a personal reason why they are advocating for that. Maybe they were a recipient at one point. Maybe their family or their mother, their grandmother or grandparents were a recipient of the same services that you are now offering. So it touches and tugs at their heart a little bit closer because of that. So when you start developing those type of relationships where now they're knowing you and understanding you, what made you want to start this nonprofit? What was your why? Right? And so now you're building relationships with them. You're understanding what's important to them. So now you can sit up here and you can have those type of conversations where now they're going to be more apt to let you know, hey, we have this funding opportunity. Hey, we have this networking event. Hey, we have this policy meeting coming up. I really think you should be there, because now they know what's important to you. You know what's important to them. And so now you're building this relationship where now they will become an advocate for your nonprofit. They may not be on the board. They may not be on the board. They may not be one of the decision makers of your nonprofit organization. However, They are what I like to call your silent partner, or your silent, your advocate, your ambassador of your nonprofit, because they're going to let you know what's coming up, what's happening, what grant is coming up, why you should apply for this one. Make sure you include this. Make sure you do. They give you the ins and outs that other nonprofits are not going to be privy to, because they have not built that relationship with those key individuals, those decision makers that are going to put you in the room, put your foot in the door, give you the inside scoop on certain applications and what they're really looking for, so that way you can customize your nonprofit grant application to align with what it is that they're looking for. So building relationships with the decision makers, key stakeholders at the city council and things like that, that's extremely important. That requires time. And the reason why I'm saying that requires time is because a lot of times nonprofits, and I work with a lot of clients, especially grassroots just getting started, they feel like once they get that 501c3, that's automatic money. It's not. It's not. What it does, and it's great, it puts you, now it qualifies you to be able to apply for those grants, but it is not a guarantee. It is not a 100% you're going to get this money, because you are a tax exempt nonprofit. It puts you in the door. It now qualifies you, but you still, as a business, a nonprofit is a business, you got to do the work. You got to build those relationships. You have to nurture those relationships. You have to, put feet to the street and get out there. It's, everything has become so technical, and technology is wonderful, but sometimes we lose that social, aspect, that one-on-one, face-to-face nurturing relationships. Everything is email and text and, streamlining and social media. And all of that is great because it expands your reach. Yes, everything serves a purpose, but everything also has to have a balance. Some people, they still want to have those face-to-face conversations. Some of those still want to have those, I want to meet you. I want to see you. I want to be able to come to your nonprofit, see what you're doing. Even if it's a virtual class, can I sit in? Things like that. Nurture those relationships with those decision makers, so that way they can get a real pulse of who you are, what your nonprofit stands for, the real work that you're doing that's not posted up on the news and doesn't have a big, eyes on it. Now you're putting eyes on it with the decision makers of the same, that share the same mission driven, desire. They share the same objectives that you have for the community, and now they can partner with you, be a silent partner for your organization, to advocate and become an ally and ambassador for your nonprofit. So that was the 5 strategies that I wanted to share. I also said that I was going to be discussing the importance, the why. Why is it important to go after government money? Yes, while it takes a little more hand holding, the applications are a little more extensive. It takes a little longer to be able to apply for. There's a lot of paperwork involved. There's a lot of attachments and things that you have to send. Why is that something that every nonprofit should be doing? The reason for it is that when you attain government funding from government agencies, they tend to be of a larger amount. When you apply for your foundation money, sometimes it's $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 even. You do get some nice sizable grants, foundation money and things like that. However, when you apply for government funding, they're not those amounts. Typically, when you're applying for government funding, which is why the grant applications are a little more extensive, is because the amounts are much more. You're talking 100,000, 200,000 sometimes grants. Think about your nonprofit organization as it relates to your programs, the goals, the vision that you have for your nonprofit organization. What could $100,000 do for your nonprofit? Could you hire some staff? Could you hire someone to assist, to be able to, could you can you purchase the software that's necessary for you to be able to streamline your processes, to make your job easier, to make the nonprofit more efficient on things that you can't get away from? These are things that you need to ask yourself. And what also happens with government funding is sometimes they don't just fund you for 1 year. Sometimes these applications are where they'll fund you for the next 2-3 years. So now you have guaranteed money coming in for your nonprofit for the next 2-3 years. Now that's sustainability for your nonprofit organization. That is where you can guarantee your community and your recipients, we are going to be here for the long haul. We're not an in and out, one stop shop, and that's it. You want to be able to show that your nonprofit organization is an organization that is here for long-term sustainability and expansion. Your organization might be looking to actually have, a location, an actual location, not working from your home, but an actual location where people can come and, especially like if you have a food pantry or something like that, or a teen center, an after school program for children. Sometimes a location is going to be very, very important to the expansion of your mission. So government funding is extremely helpful when it comes to applying, and why it's important, and why making the sacrifices and going to these networking events and rubbing shoulders and getting to know who's who in the government world, locally and above. It's important because it gives you that sustainability for quite some time, and they give you larger grants. It also enhances your credibility as a nonprofit organization. Imagine your nonprofit being able to say they received this grant funding for this amount. This also, what it does is, because every grant application, at least the ones that I've applied for, each and every one of them ask you who has funded you before and how much. Who has funded you before and how much? So now this gives your nonprofit the credibility to say, hey, this is a nonprofit that we we need to take a look at. They receive government funding for the next 3 years. They receive this amount from the government, government funding. This is something that, wow, our foundation should take a look at this nonprofit. It gives your organization the credibility, not just with other grant funders, but also the community, that this is not just another, not here today, gone tomorrow. And we've seen it, and it's sad because, again, nonprofits have great missions, they want to do wonderful work, but they don't have the sustainability in order to be able to have the impact that they want. Here now you're building that credibility within the community for them to be able to rely on you as a change maker for their community. And what it does also is, when you get in the know, when I was saying rubbing shoulders and, actually nurturing that relationship, now what you do for your nonprofit is you expose your nonprofit to specialized expertise, resources that you wasn't aware of before. Now they know where is it that you need the most help. I've had those conversations. Where is it that your organization requires its most help? If you had to say you needed assistance with something, what would that one thing be? Here now you're talking to a government official, you're talking to a government agency that's looking to assist. They're going to be able to customize and tailor that specialized expertise to be able to say, okay, we have the resources and we have the expertise in order to make that change, to pivot your organization to now having this as a threat or a weakness. Now it becomes a strength for your nonprofit organization. So those are the reasons why. I just gave you 3 reasons why it's important to actually put that in your vision or your activities for your nonprofit, to say we're going to be going after government agency funding. It's, as I mentioned before, it's a little more expensive. The applications are a little more meatier. However, if you're able to attain it, if you're able to sit down with someone, be able to review the application before sending it, giving you tips because you've nurtured that relationship, it's going to give you that heads up to be able to get it. And even if you don't get 100,000, even if you got 50,000, 75,000, what difference could that make in your nonprofit organization? Especially if they're funding that for you for the next 2-3 years. What change could that make? What sustainability, what expansion, what impact could that make in the community that you're looking to serve? And that's what you have to remember at all times. So that's what I wanted to share with you this Monday morning. Strategic partnerships with government agencies. Start with grants.gov. Start there. Start with your local community. Start, where are our local officials? Where does our city council meet? Who's the one that's representing our county, our township? Start, meeting with them, going to places and getting to know their office and being in the know, and they becoming, again, familiar with you and your mission. So again, take this information. If it's something that you see, hey, you know what, this is the areas that we can improve on to be able to expand our reach and be able to expand our funding sources, do that. Maximize, be strategic about what it is that you want to do. Take a couple of tips from here today or apply all of them, but make sure that you're applying it. Implementation is where change is going to happen for your nonprofit organization. So if you are, looking to be able to get additional counseling or consultation, I am a business coach specific to nonprofit organizations, and whether it's grassroots or existing, that's what I do. I do one-on-one coaching. I do group coaching for the entire executive team. So depending on what it is that you need, please feel free to reach out to me. My website is utopianenterprisebiz.com, where you can go and see the various services that I provide, one-on-one coaching, to be able to assist your organization in getting you where you need to be and fulfilling your missions, as I mentioned earlier, in real time. So I will see you next week for another great topic, content for your nonprofit organization to be able to really be able to be impactful and really make a difference in the community that you're looking to serve. So I'll see you all next week, and have a great day. Be impactful, even if it's on the low level. Take care.